there, and welcome to Busybird DIY. Today I'm going to show you how I transformed our coat closet into a fresh and functional entryway for our family. I hope you enjoy the video and it gives you inspiration to tackle a space in your home. This is actually the only picture I have showing what the closet looked like before I took the doors off and got to work on this project. The closet is directly across from our front door, so that's what you saw when you entered our home, just a pair of bifold doors. It was a tight space and really just ended up being a corner that we kept a mountain of shoes in. It was something I wanted to spruce up since we bought this house, and now I'm finally going to do it. I started by clearing out the clutter, removing the doors, the door tracks, and the wire shelving unit that was installed previously. I patched the holes that were left after removing everything. I installed 2x4s into the studs to rest my bench seat boards on. I chose a height of 16 inches for the bench seating. The boards I'll be using are about 4 inches thick, so I put the support beams in at a height that would accommodate that and still be a comfortable height for seating. After my 2x4s were in place, I wanted to paint them the same color as the wall. From certain angles, you'd still be able to see the wood frame holding the bench up, so I wanted to make sure they blended in as best as possible. Now I'm starting with the beadboard and the trim, and this is just a 4x8 foot piece of beadboard from Home Depot. I cut this to a width of 84.5 inches to fit my closet. I applied some adhesive to the back and nailed it to the wall using my nail gun. I did prop the panel up on some 2x4 scraps to raise the height up just a little bit. But once my bench is in place, the gap between the 2x4 support beams and the paneling won't be visible at all. And I also added an old trim piece at the top of the paneling to finish off the look. After I caulked all the edges around the paneling and sanded down the nail holes I had to patch, I painted everything in a warm white color called Polished Marble by Behr. This is the color that we have in most of our house, and I wanted this to match everything else. I used a brush for the grooves in the paneling, a foam roller for the smooth surfaces, and a thicker napped roller for the walls. And now after painting, I can move on to preparing my scrap wood that I'm using for our bench. The boards that I'm using are actually from a giant pallet that my husband got for free at work. It was transporting some type of big, heavy machinery. So these boards are about 4 inches thick and about 7 inches wide. I'm going to be using 4 of them for the bench seating. So I sprayed a solution on the wood, I scrubbed them all down with a wire brush, and then I rinsed them clean and let them dry for a few hours before sanding them. After cleaning and sanding, they still looked aged, but they're no longer dirty or rough, and it's exactly the look that I was hoping for. I love all the imperfections in the wood, and the front piece that I'm using actually looks like a live edge piece. I'm going to put each board in, and off camera I did add some metal plates underneath to hold them all together. I believe they're called mending plates. And I also added L brackets that attach to the front board and that attached it to the 2x4 that's attached to the wall so that the bench wouldn't slide around and that it stayed in place. I needed a storage solution for underneath the bench, and I had these drawers in my garage. They needed a bit of a makeover, but they were the perfect fit for the space. And I could fit 4 underneath the bench, and we needed 4 for each member of our family. I did need to remove the beveled edge on the drawers so I could fit them all underneath side by side. So I started by removing the edges with my table saw. And I also wanted to give them a quick sand to smooth the edges and prep them for paint. I'm going to be painting the front of each drawer as well as the knobs. I love the way these drawers turned out, but I needed to add some color to the area. I painted them in the color Black Locust by Behr. It's a smoky green paint, and I thought it'd be a good addition to all of the neutrals that I already had there. I had this pendant light cover in my decor stash, and I gave it a fresh coat of paint in the color Warm Caramel. It complements the antique mirror that I hung above the bench. I think the warm wood of the frame on that mirror and the caramel color, they work really well together. We also needed some hooks to hang our things, and the hooks I'm using also came from something I had on hand, so I didn't have to purchase new ones. I made sure I was putting my hooks in the center of the wall, and then I spaced them each 5.5 inches apart. After my hooks were up, I took some Gorilla Glue and attached flat stones to the top plate on each of them. We find these little stones at our local beaches, and I always bring them home. Each one is unique, and they remind me of happy days we've spent together in our favorite places. So here's all the decor that I've gathered. I got all of this stuff from my house, except I did end up thrifting the small crate that I put on the wall to use as a shelf above the hooks. I didn't want to clutter it too much, just add some texture and some visual interest. I also wanted to swap out my old curtain for a pair that I had on hand. So as I said, I swapped my previous curtain out for a set of 2 muslin curtains that I had. I wasn't using them, and I wanted to keep the cream color, but I wanted to add some fullness. The single panel just wasn't working for me. So I widened my curtain rod, and I put 2 panels on it, and it looks much better. With everything in place, the entryway was looking so much better. Now let's go back and take another look at the before. I started with a basic coat closet. It felt cramped, and it wasn't the prettiest thing in the world to look at as you entered our front door. With a little work, some creative sourcing of materials, and reusing things I already had, I was able to turn this little spot into an inviting entryway that feels bigger, functions perfectly for us, and looks so much better. The only things that were purchased for this were the sheet of beadboard and the little crate I thrifted for the shelf, putting us at a total cost of only $42. I hope you enjoyed today's video. Let me know what you think in the comments. Have a blessed day, and thanks so much for watching.